So there I am again, pretty quickly after the first recording, um, with a quick rant about, why I think that there might be a good reason why Trump could win. Now, don't get me wrong, I know how the polls look like, and they are hopeful. I really hope that Biden wins. But this is not about what I want. This is about what I think could happen. And that is Trump winning. And aside from, of course, abusing any legal loophole and, trying to undermine any potential Democratic vote in any way, both legal and illegal, both by people directly involved in this team, people that he incited by telling people to, take matters in their own fucking hands. The reason that Trump might maybe legitimately win this is because the Democrats, they ran on nothing again. They ran on Orange Man bad, where Biden is not Trump, and I'm sorry, that's not enough to convince a lot of people, both people on the left who are like disillusioned, who don't feel heard, to people who have voted Trump and who are like, yeah, but he's putting food on my table. I'm doing better since he's president. So why wouldn't I vote Trump? And there's probably people who are like that, and you need to convince them. Maybe you need to convince them that it's not Trump that improved their lives. Maybe you need to convince them that that's still a remainder of Obama's policy. I don't fucking care, but don't try to convince people by saying that you're going back to the status quo. Don't try to convince people that you're the right candidate because you're not that guy. I mean, you guys had a chance to run for real change, and it could have been Bernie, could have been Elizabeth Warren. There were some other candidates that were maybe a little bit refreshing, but you chose to go for Joe, my brain is rotting Biden, the most vanilla, wet cloth that you had. And his argument is like, I'm not Trump, I'm going back to how we were. And you expect people to skip happily to the voting booth and vote for that guy? I mean, if Trump wins, it's not on the people that voted for him. Well, maybe also for the people who voted for him. But it's mainly on you. It's mainly on the Democratic Party that had to come up with a zombie whose main argument is, I'm not the other guy as a candidate. Are you fucking stupid? Have you learned nothing from 2016? And of course, yes, was there some influence of sexism when it came to people not voting for Hillary Clinton. Of course, you would be fucking stupid to believe that wasn't the case, right? Whether it was like people actually doing it because he's a woman, or it was some systematic thing that we is way harder to explain, where it is like where we attribute certain certain things to a good politician that are things how men usually express themselves and not how women express themselves, and that's why we thought that Hillary wouldn't be a good leader, because as a woman she wasn't really expressing those more male expressions, if you know what I mean. Sorry, my vocabulary is fucking terrible because English is my second language. But it's of course, like I said, of course, that was probably a contributing factor, and maybe it wasn't a deciding contributing factor, because it's overall it wasn't that wide of a margin that Trump won with, you know, in a lot of states. In a lot of states, Hillary could have won if that systematic sexism didn't exist. Sure, fine, maybe. Did she maybe lose because some of the more lefties were like, you know what, I don't really feel Hillary, I'm gonna vote for something else, or I'm not gonna vote, or whatever. Sure, maybe. Could that have been a contributing factor? Could combining things could have been a contributing factor? Yes, sure, maybe. But then it still wouldn't have been the landslide that it should have been. It should have been a massive. Trump shouldn't have even been a viable option against a Democratic candidate. And then, again, it might be so close that Trump could pull it off with, some legal trickery. It shouldn't be that close. But your message is status quo good. Let's go back. Same with Hillary. Hillary's message was, well, I'm gonna improve a few things, but overall, America is already great. Even though Flint doesn't have clean drinking water, and, we just... back then in 2016, we are still kind of fighting over that oil pipe that's going over land of the indigenous people of America, and there are a lot of people in poverty, and for no real reason, and but America is already great, and what Trump did so well, and I would have, if I wasn't American, I would have voted for Hillary back then. But you have to say, Trump, even though I didn't believe him, and I thought he was a horrible person, he just told them, I'm gonna bring back your jobs, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and at least he was giving people some perspective. And I really didn't see that much in Hillary. And Biden again. Biden is now saying, yeah, I'm gonna go back to that time. And Trump is still, coming with some promises that Trump is also not running a great campaign. Let's be fair. And Biden is doing better, as in he is coming with some promises and he's coming with some good solid policy ideas. From what I've seen from his tax plan, this tax plan is for a Biden campaign pretty good, right? But fuck, man, why do Democrats insist on making it themselves so fucking difficult, right? Sure, maybe not Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, but why not run someone? And this is not just on the American voters that voted Biden to be the Democratic voters who voted Biden to become the candidate. But this is also on the media, on the Democratic Party itself. Why not give the candidates the chance that are actually someone new, someone refreshing, Start working on that now, at your base, at the beginning, at the lower echelons of power. Real people with new ideas. And I'm not saying progressive ideas. If you think that I instantly mean progressive ideas, yes, sure, I wish it were progressive ideas for my American friends. But I'm not necessarily meaning progressive ideas. No, I mean something new, something refreshing, something that people are like, I want to vote for that guy, not because he's a Democrat. Not because he's a Republican, but because I like his ideas. I like the kind of person he is. People don't vote for Joe Biden because they think he's a nice guy. They vote for Joe Biden because he's not a big asshole as Trump. I mean, Obama wasn't like as good as we all hoped. But at least with Obama, you had the feeling that it was someone with a message. It was someone who radiated something of a promise for a better world. And we even felt that here in Europe. But with Biden, that's not the case, He's just like you said. He's a zombie. He's a wet cloth. He's completely unimpressive. And that is a breath of fresh air compared to Trump, because Trump definitely had an aura as well. Trump's aura was like, oh man, this guy is a douche. But at least he has an aura. And I hate the guy, and I would never ever vote for him, guy. And I disagree on him on pretty much everything. But at least he has some kind of aura compared to Biden, who is just like blah. I mean, if your base is going to the voting booth, like, oh well, I guess I'm gonna vote for Biden then. That's not a good win. That's not a good win. But I hope it's the win you're gonna get, because that's the best case scenario. Because here's a reality check, guys. As good as it looks, Trump might really win this election. And that isn't on the voter, that is on the Democratic Party of America, who is unwilling to really change.